Hey guys, how's it going? So this video is going to be following on from our philosophy video on preparation, so if you haven't watched that, go ahead and check it out. I'll annotate it here. So that video is kind of long and rambly, so to summarize, I said that preparation is this multifaceted idea that encompasses, yes, the products that we review here, but also a different sort of preparation and self-investment into an emotional and mental aspect that involves the skills that you have that allow you to get through your day-to-day life. Now I want to talk about that concept as applied to preparing yourself to react to violent encounters on a day-to-day basis, preparing yourself to protect yourself. So yeah, I want to talk about, knives as they're applied as fighting knives. I want to talk about the philosophy of what makes a good fighting knife, but before we talk about any of that, I want to sort of talk about the emotional and mental preparation that goes into being the type of person that can effectively defend themselves. And I think where that starts first off is being situationally aware enough and of good enough physical fitness to assess a situation before a violent encounter occurs and to put yourself someplace else. I think there's no way that you're ever going to lose a fight if you leave the area where the fight was about to happen before it happens. And this involves sort of being mentally prepared, being observant of your surroundings, and also being emotionally prepared that you're not going to let your pride, your anger, anything like that get in the way of you removing yourself from the situation. So I think that's a big step mentally and emotionally for a lot of people. I think it's something very important, and if you can't honestly tell yourself that you're there, I think you need to reconsider whether or not you want to be buying equipment like a fighting knife to defend yourself with. Now, I think all of your preparation should be dictated by this sort of equation. I tend to think in terms of equations, so take the likelihood that an event is going to happen, the consequence if you don't resolve that situation, and how difficult it is to pack a solution into your size and weight constraint. So something I was thinking about was, depending on where you live, there might be a really high probability that throughout your day you'll be around mosquitoes. But nobody really carries around a mosquito swatter or a fly swatter because the consequence for not being prepared to handle that situation isn't very high at all, and it's sort of a big size constraint to have something like that around, and it's sort of ridiculous. So that convenience aspect and the low risk of not being prepared prevents a lot of people from preparing themselves for that task for good reason. It would be sort of ridiculous to carry around a fly swatter all the time to deal with mosquitoes. So that's why I think that carrying a weapon to defend yourself with makes sense, because the chance that it's going to happen is relatively small, but it's a very potent risk if you don't resolve that situation. So I think you want to give yourself every chance that you can to resolve that situation, and that's sort of where the weapons come in, is after you've attempted as best you could to remove yourself from the situation. Now you need to worry about defending yourself, and so that's where the knives will come in. And I think that's a very noble purpose, and I think it's one that we shouldn't be ashamed to talk about. So we will talk explicitly around here about what we think the potential of a knife as a weapon is, using them as a good guy in a self-defensive role to protect yourself or someone who can't protect themselves. And so that's sort of what I wanted to say, is when you're preparing for violence, again, it's a multifaceted preparation that involves being mentally prepared, physically preparing yourself with the skills to do so. And with that, preparation on skills sort of plays in that aspect of thinking about how likely a certain encounter is. So the chance that you're actually going to use your knife to fight somebody else with their own knife is an extraordinarily small chance. You've got a much higher chance that you're going to use your knife as a force multiplier and a deterrent for someone who's being violently aggressive, that you're going to be able to pull your knife out and or your pistol out and stop them from attacking you so that nobody has to get hurt. You can live to fight another day. You can get yourself away from that encounter. And we will talk about that, but when it comes down to it, we also want to talk about, the bare bones capabilities of the weapons and their utility for you for defense. That's the guiding principle around here, is we want people to have as much information and exposure to these products as possible so they can think about how they might integrate into their system of preparation on a day-to-day basis. So that's why we'll be reviewing fighting knives. That's why I want to talk about what traits I like in a fighting knife, and that's what we'll be going from here philosophy-wise. The next philosophy video will be talking more in depth about what I think makes a good hand-to-hand combat weapon, and then specifically some stuff like, you know, tip design, serrations, no serrations, we already did that, handle design, that'll be forthcoming. So that's what you guys can expect, and this is the principle that it's coming from, is defending yourself or someone that can't defend themselves after all of your other recourses have failed, after you've tried to remove yourself, after you've tried to talk your way out of the situation. Now it's down to you need to defend yourself or something else equally important, and that's what your weapon is for. And so that's our video on philosophy behind preparing yourself for a violent encounter. You know, we're not experts. We could go on forever about all of this stuff. If you are interested in it, I urge you to check out, you know, look in your area for martial arts dojos. Those are excellent places to learn about this type of philosophy. Most of them will teach you very practical skills. I think you'll be able to assess early on after going to a dojo if they're teaching you from a point of practicality and self-defense, or if, you know, they're just trying to get repeat customers, or another thing the dojos will do is try to make competitive champions, and if that's what you want, that's all right. I think learning from the more practical side of self-defense is better. I think that's what most people would prefer, all things be told. Also, if you're looking for a great knife channel run by a martial artist, I'll link We All Juggle Knives. He's got a great channel. He is a very experienced martial artist. If you want to hear more of this stuff from his perspective, go and check out his channel. It's a really cool perspective. Yeah, that's that. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more of the same.